Hello, Blaine Gray here from Plastering for Beginners, and today I'm going to be talking about the Speedskim. I'm going to be giving a full review on this tool, and it's made by Ox, which I've generally made some really good trowels over the years, but this is a very exciting subject to me. I've been looking at having a go at these for a few years now, and I finally managed to get one out. So this is the full review. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and even the ugly, because there's some things to get done. But basically I'll show you in action first. It's got a lovely aluminium frame, and I'm using the ST blade, which is the plastic PVC, and I must admit, as you can see, it's already made light work of this job. So I've just got a ceiling on a few walls. I just thought I'd give it a good trial on there. And on the website it says with this blade you can use it throughout the whole process of plastering. It even says you can finish with it, so we'll go into that a bit later on in the video and see how it performs in that standard. But this is my first day using it. It's the first time I used it, so I must admit it does take a little bit of getting used to, just because it's a totally different way of plastering really. I've always been used to trowel. I've obviously used a Derby when I was rendering, so I've got that experience, but in terms of plastering, in terms of internal, I've never used anything like this other than a Raffina spatula. That was only 600mm long. This is 1.2 meters, so it's quite a big size. But the difference it's made, even after the first day, look, it's just flattening the wall so fast. And obviously you're going to get a flatter wall overall because of the length of the product itself. So what I've done is I've gone across, and now I'm also going up with the Speedskim just to make sure it's completely flat. So yeah, it's only a low summer house, which means I can reach the top, which is pretty handy. Makes easy work for me. That's good to know. But yeah, this particular blade is designed for flattening, and it's also, you can also use it for rendering as well. I've not tried it rendering yet. I think we have got a rendering job coming up in a few months, so I'll be giving that a trial further down the line, but for now I'm just going to focus internally. And again, that wall's flattened now. That took about 2 minutes, if that. So that's definitely increased my time in terms of how much I can get done. I think I get this wall flattened in about 30 seconds. So this is just after the second coat I'm using this. Literally, I've only just applied it and I've used it straight away. And with this system, because it's the PVC you're flattening with, it doesn't bring the moisture to the front, which means once you've flattened it off, say if I added the first coat of plaster, once you can flatten it off, you can immediately go over the second coat of plaster because it doesn't bring moisture to the front, which causes the bubbles that you sometimes get when you when you plaster too fast onto your first coat. So this is a really good system just for flattening in and generally speeding up the whole process of plastering. I'm going to go into that a bit later on and actually do a test on whether this can speed in terms of the plaster setting also, never mind how much you get on. And again, this is only my second go over with the Speedskim, and you can see how flat the wall is. It's just made real light work of it. Again, what I learned as well is when you're using it, make sure you always take the residue, the remaining plaster off the blade. Just make sure you're always keeping your blade clean, always keeping your no plaster left, because it will affect the walls. I'll show you in a minute. I actually leave a bit on the Speedskim, and that I learned after the first day it's just best to always clean it back. And that's it. That wall's done. That fast. It's rapid. And again, the other side. Again, left to right. But for now, I'm only doing it just to flatten in. But there is one thing that was winding me up, and I'll show you a bit closer. When I was using it, it does leave lines behind, and it was leaving lines and heavy trail marks from both edges of the blade, so it was leading it from the top and the bottom, which was annoying me, to be honest. Even though you're saving a lot of time, I didn't like the idea that I had to get my trowel out and trowel the lines out that it was leaving behind, and it was distracting me. So that's the only thing that I had a few problems with the Speedskim, and I'll show you now. I actually zoom in on it. It's not much, but it did make me think that could have been better. So look, you can see the trail lines it's leaving behind. So I actually looked it up online, and I've actually sought a solution which has made a massive difference, but I'm going to talk to you about that right now and go into it properly. Okay, so I just seen in the clip, towards the end you've seen that it left quite a few lines and ripples along the plaster, and to be honest it was winding me up, because even though it's saving lots of time using the Speedskim, I still had to get my trowel and go over the lines, which does seem like much, but I just expected a bit more. So I looked on the forums and I looked on their website, and they actually say if you are having problems you can round the edges. So if you come closer, what I've done is I've actually rounded the edges of the Speedskim blade. Obviously it was easier on the Speedskim ST because it's plastic, and all I did was I used my tin snips, literally just cut a radius, and sandpapered the underside with really fine 2020 I think, 220 I think the sandpaper, but I'd actually recommend a bit of wet and dry. And I also did it along the length of the blade just to get rid of any few burrs, or just to really give it a faster breaking in period. And when I did this, it made such a difference. It got no more lines, there's no more ripples, and to be honest, I recommend if you are going to get a Speedskim, do that straight away, because the difference it has made doing this has been insane. I don't understand why they don't do that at the beginning, because I don't actually see any advantage to keeping it as it was, because it was just leaving lines. But maybe there is, for the rendering side, maybe it is beneficial, but if you're just using it for plastering, I recommend that. And whilst I'm here, I also learned that when I was using it I was getting better results. If I held my hand, my left hand 1/3 of the way up, my right hand 2/3 of the way up, and I'd actually push in when I'd use blade, so push in there when I was bringing it down or across, and that would slightly raise the edges up, which also stopped the blade, the ST blade, digging into the plaster. So these two little differences have made a huge impact on me using this, and this to me is now one of the best tools I've used plastering, because it's just so fast. So let me carry on with the video. I'll show you another clip of me using it after the cut, and yeah, we'll go from there. I'll carry the review on. Thank you, see you in a bit. So this is me using the Speedskim after I've cut the edges and put a radius on, and I must say this has made a hell of a lot of a difference to the Speedskim. This was only a little job I had to do, and I had to actually rush it because I was due to go out for the afternoon. So all I've got is a few reveals on, and obviously what's above it. And the Speedskim made such a good job of this, just because for reveals it was so fast and it was so accurate in doing it. It's made a massive difference. But not only that, it says on the website if you use a Speedskim, it speeds up the plastering process, because the plastic from the ST blade doesn't bring the moisture to the front of the plaster, so it doesn't bring the moisture to the surface, making the process a lot faster. So I wanted to test this, so with this video I use the Speedskim throughout the whole process of plastering. Literally, this is my second coat. Literally just flattened it. I'm going to flatten it again. In between coats I flattened it. I did the first trowel, the second trowel, the third trowel, and I literally go through the whole process using the Speedskim, because I wanted to see if it could make the plastering process faster in terms of productivity, but also faster in terms of how fast the plaster can dry. Because there's so many times you have a little job on, like where you've got to plaster a little wall, and you'll just be waiting for 2.5 hours for the plaster to set, and sometimes it can be a complete waste. So this is one of the big tests I wanted to try out, really, and see also how it finished in terms of using the product all the way through the plastering process. So again, I've got my hands, as you can see, on the left, the first third of the Speedskim, and my right hand on the second third of the Speedskim. And this for me was a great way of using the tool. It gave me full control, and it really gave the wall the amount of pressure I needed to get the completely flat at early stages. So it's been ideal just using it like that, really. I think it's my third day using it, so it's the day two. This day two after the cut, and I'm starting to get used to the tool at this point. It does take a bit of getting used to, and for anyone who's really accustomed to the trowel, I would recommend giving a bit of time to, get used to the process, get used to the trowel, and just get used to the way you work with the Speedskim, because it is a different way of plastering, and you do have to learn a new approach. But it's so worth it. This tool is monumental for me now. I can't wait to get involved and use it throughout my whole plastering, because not only is it faster, but it also reduces the stress on your joints, on your shoulders, on your elbows. I'm getting tennis elbow, I'm only 27, so if I can start using this to reduce the repetitive strain injury, then it's going to be ideal. Look, this is first go over after the second coat. It's completely flat, there's no lines, no ripples, no drag marks being left behind. That's amazing. And this is the finish after the Speedskim. Like I said, I used it all the way throughout the whole process, and the job was done. The only time I didn't use it, I used it the last time I used the Speedskim. All I did was got my Superflex out and give it a final trowel over, and this is the finish I got. And it took an hour and 35 minutes. That's how fast it was, and that's how much it increased the time of plastering by, because the plaster was just drying a lot faster than what it would do if you were using the steel trowels, because the steel trowels brings the moisture to the front, which delays the setting process. So not only is this trowel unbelievable at getting your productivity and the amount of time saved, but it's also ideal in increasing the time you have with the plaster, because it makes it set faster. So I must say, this Derby is absolutely amazing, and I've loved using it, especially after the cut. That was my only concern, was the fact that it was leaving ripples, but now that's not even a factor to worry about. I definitely recommend this trowel to anyone who's thinking about it. It's got a great frame, it's lovely to use, and the fact you can replace the blades, unlike the Rafina spats, is something that is also very beneficial, because if I damage this ST blade, I don't have to then buy a completely new system. I can just buy a blade individually. So for anyone who's thinking about it, and for anyone who's looking at getting one, I definitely recommend it. It's a great piece of kit. It really saves time, and also if you've got a tiny little job on where you need the plaster to go off faster, use this all the way through, and it'll just save you hours and hours of time. So yeah, that's the review of the Speedskim. If you like it, please leave a comment, please subscribe, and thanks a lot for getting involved and listening. Cheers, speak soon, Blaine.